Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to No More Mondays, the podcast where we believe you can have a thriving career, business, and an amazing life on your terms. And I am a very excited host, Angie Callen, this morning for many reasons, not only because the bright, colorful person joining next to me, but this is a very milestone moment because after years of coaching, writing, and trying to help humans navigate the mess that is life and work, I wrote a book. And you are the first to hear about it. It is part memoir, maybe part permission slip, a little bit guide, and it is 100% built around the message that we have been exploring here on every single episode of No More Mondays for the last 4.5 years. It is Scary Good, Discovering Life Beyond the Sunday Scaries. It is a book for the burnout, the brave, and everyone in between, and it is coming to an Amazon near you on January 8th. I want you to be in the loop, so head over to scarygoodread.com. How's that for calling your book Scary Good and then you get Scary Good Read as a URL? Win. Scarygoodread.com/waitlist, and you can get a front row seat as all of this excitement unfolds. And now let's get into more excitement because today is going to be a treat if it is not evidenced by all of the color next to me on the screen. If you've ever looked at your phone and wondered, how the hell am I supposed to make content that doesn't feel like I'm selling my soul to the algorithm? You're in the right place. Keenya Kelly is a video marketing strategist and CEO of If You Create It, and she's also somebody who knows exactly what it means to show up with personality and purpose online, especially in what can often feel like a sea of sameness. She and I made friends at AI Marketing World, and what struck me wasn't just what she knows, it's just how real she is. And you know I love real humans. She has built a massive platform without sacrificing who she is, and she's helped thousands of women entrepreneurs do the same. And so we are going to get into what it takes to market with meaning, maybe a little bit of talk about why short form video is a good way to do that. And most importantly, how we as humans all stay connected to each other while we bring some soul back to the scroll. Keenya, welcome to No More Mondays.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. And congratulations on the book. Woohoo.
Thank you. And you all better keep up because if you think I talk fast, we're going to go toe to toe for the next half hour.
For sure. I'm working on it.
And one of the things that struck me when you were talking at AI Marketing World was how so many businesses fall into this sea of sameness. And it was a term I hadn't heard before. And as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the term I've been looking for. Because especially now that AI is on the scene, it's becoming even worse. Mm-hmm. And so I think we should bring everybody up to speed. Tell everyone out there what you mean by this idea of like sea of sameness and where we're missing the mark.
Yeah, for sure. So I feel like that anytime you start building this brand on social media, most of us, we don't really know how to get started. And so you go on and you'll see someone, let's just say an Alex Hormozi, and you'll see him and you'll go, okay, I am going to imitate Alex Hormozi, or I'm going to imitate whomever, you're Oprah Winfrey or whatever. And what happens is that we end up becoming this carbon copy of these people, and it's them, it's not actually us. And we don't even realize it until years down the line when we're like, why do I hate my business? Why do I hate my audience? Why is all this happening to me and not really what I want to happen? And it's because we went into the sea of sameness versus giving ourselves permission to stand out. And I think it's because for like, if you're an American, you've always been told, do this, do this, do this, like walk this yellow brick road. You've never been told, go and do something different. And so doing something different feels like scary.
Yeah, but ultimately it's doing something different that's actually going to differentiate. And I love anybody else who has the perspective of just because it's how we're supposed to do it doesn't mean it's how we're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm curious on how you came to this conclusion. So you found your voice primarily through TikTok. How did you do it and build such the level of visibility that you did?
Yeah. So my journey actually started a little bit earlier. My journey started when I got recruited into network marketing when I was in college. And I've always had this, my ex-husband would say, this spunky personality. And I didn't know that I had something, but someone saw something in me, the person who recruited me, and he started like pouncing on the that something thing that I had. And I started going, well, if you say I've got it, then I'm just going to show up as this. And I started to realize, oh shoot, the world really loves this. And I started, like, I got featured in Success from Home magazine. I mean, it was the craziest thing that happened in my life. And I was like, what is going on? Like, and it was just me being me. So then when I started in social media marketing in 2016, all I knew how to do was try to figure out, let me just be me. And the more that I was talking like me, people were gravitating to it. And I don't have formal education for marketing. So I was already standing out because I wasn't using certain words. I was just talking the way that I was talking. And then when I was praying in 2020 and heard God tell me get on TikTok, which was really random, I was like, okay. And so getting on TikTok was already something different. And then when I started posting content to Facebook of my TikTok content, people were like, who is that? And what is going on? And I started realizing this is just another one of those things where I'm doing something different and it's making me stand out amongst everybody else.
Yeah, you sometimes you don't realize it until hindsight. Also, side note, you never know what that big man upstairs is going to tell you to do.
Right.
So if you think that it's not a sign and you keep getting it, there is no such thing as coincidence. Common themes, pay attention to them, even if it feels so random as God's telling me, get on TikTok.
Yes,
Change
exactly.
your life. And so I think it's really interesting because I would say that I fell into a similar situation when I started my business. I was like in the career services field in the early days of coaching. And I'm like, okay, LinkedIn's the logical place for me to go. And I just started putting my opinions out there. I didn't look at what anyone else was doing. I was just like, I've got a perspective. I'm going to share it. I'm going to do it. And it's just really interesting how it resonates. But it isn't necessarily something either of us intentionally set out to do. We realized it in hindsight. And so now that we have the ability to guide the way for others, how can we be more intentional about this? What does human-centered content look like in this day and age? And how can we lean into creating it authentically ourselves?
So I feel like that there's two different types of people who are creating content. There is the personal brand that some people have corporate brands, Nike or what have you. So you have to identify, okay, what does this look like for us to be a corporation, but also feel more personalized because you have more red tape, you got more legal situations if you do it wrong. And then you've got the one where it's actually you. Right. And so I mostly focus on the me. And so I would say that one of the first things that I like to do with myself or with a client is say, what do you actually believe? What are your core beliefs? Like, what are you sold on? Right. And then I say, okay, and how do you want to show up online? A lot of times people will say, well, I don't want to show my food. I don't want to dance. Great. Right. And you just find out what people like and what they don't like, right? Then you go, okay, what hill are you willing to die on as it pertains to your brand, right? I always tell everybody, if your brand is not political, don't you get on there talking about politics. I don't care what side of the coin you are on. I am apolitical. I'm registered independent, right? And I'm like, so you will never hear me talking about that because that has nothing to do with my brand. And so then once you have identified, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is the hill I will die on as it pertains to my brand and my audience, then it's all about going, okay, how do we want to show up? Does that look like me being authority where I'm just doing teaching content? Does that look like me jumping in on some of the different trends that happen on Instagram and TikTok? Does it look like me showcasing clients, or what does this really look like to you? Like, there's someone that I always talk about. Her name is Dr. Mary Claire Haber. Every woman over 40 needs to know who she is. She teaches about perimenopause and menopause. But when she first came on 6 years ago, she was just this gynecologist who was gaslighting her patients because she didn't know about perimenopause and menopause because they didn't really teach them in medical school until she started going through perimenopause and thought she was going crazy. And a specialist was like, you're in menopause and this is all the symptoms. So then she decides how she's going to come online and teach the audience about perimenopause and menopause. And it has completely changed her entire life. She's been with Oprah. She's just done all this stuff. Her book has been on the New York Times bestsellers list for like forever. But she decided, okay, I am going to talk about menopause, perimenopause like this through my own journey. I'm not going to be showing my food to be an influencer, but I'm going to talk about, this is what I'm doing for my hair. This is what I'm doing for creatine. This is what I'm doing to lift weights. And it completely changed so many women's life and her life.
And that's the thing is, what I love in there is she just started talking about what she knew in her experience. And I think that is where we lose sight of this sometimes, that we feel like we have to posture. I talk to a lot of people that are like new to coaching, consulting, or like knowledge-based businesses. And they're like, well, I don't want to create content, or I don't want to put myself out there. I'm afraid I'll look stupid.
Right.
Well, if you're afraid you're going to look stupid by putting the thing you know out there, okay, go bark up a different tree, right? And also, most people have their heads so far up there, where that even if you do look stupid, they're not going to notice it. But ultimately, it will likely hit because it's relatable and it's real. And so I think that we have to not be afraid to just be authentic and real, because as women of exactly the same certain age, I appreciate that she just decided to start talking about that stuff.
I was like, thank God, because I was like, what's going on with my skin? And I'm like, she's changed my whole life. I'm like, thank God for gaslighting your patients and then coming on TikTok,
I'm not supposed to be waking up with heat flashes for another 7 years. What the hell?
Girl, I have to sleep. I sleep with an airplane pillow to keep from frozen shoulder.
Oh man, I feel like now we could take a turn and we could just go there. Because I think Keenya and I are like within a few months of the same age, because she said something about her age when she was on stage, and I'm like, oh yes, same girl. But I guess to keep it constructive and appropriate for the male audience out there.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry. Your wife will appreciate
Nope, not sorry one bit. Y'all need to know. We're going off the rails, but you do have a little bit of like a wild story, right? From, the total like, rock bottom, down and out moment to now having a platform to really influence thousands. And I would love to know how just something as simple as social media and content creation really did change everything for you.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I'm not the typical divorcee, so I'll just preface it with that. But I'm somebody who I got married about 10, almost 11 years ago. And I was running a very successful trade show business. And then God is so amazing. I had a dream one night. He told me he was cheating. And then boom, there it was. And so I ended up going through the most hardest time of my life of, leaving a situation and all that. But because I had all that network marketing experience, there was this stronger version of me in my weakest time that was pushing me to still go and do big things. So after I left, I got back into network marketing, and that's when live stream came out, and there was this app called Periscope, and I was like, what is this? And so because I was in network marketing, I was like, I don't want to do home parties because I'm dealing with depression from my divorce. I don't want nobody in my house. I'm going to use this live stream thing to help recruit people. And it literally like helped me learn how to have a presence on camera, how to like have a light and have a background. Like I used to have a sheet on the back of my wall to like give me like color or whatever. And that's when I got introduced to the coaching and consulting industry and hired my first coach. And they started teaching me systems, funnels, email marketing. I'm like, what is all this? And I realized that everything I was doing for my job as a salesperson, that I needed to change that and the network marketing and start teaching it and like let people pay me an hourly rate. And so fast forward, here we are in 2025 and getting into 2026, and millions of people know that I exist now. And it's like, I don't feel like an influencer, but I guess I am. And now I just get this amazing opportunity to push, quote unquote, I would say my agenda. And my agenda is happy, healed women that are wealthy. Like, right. And I'm like, you go to therapy, girl, make your money, take care of your family, and go to Jesus. You know what I mean? So I get to push this agenda in this beautiful way that is unassuming, it's non-confronting. And you're like, I kind of like this girl, and she gonna make me some money.
Yeah. I mean, I like a likable person that can make me money. And also, we, Keenya and I share the big personality, and you can feel it when you're in a room, right? Like there's an energy thing there. And so I think there's also the ability to like naturally connect via video when you have a strong personality, but you can also take up that space if you're not, if you aren't quite as, whatever our Enneagram types are, right? Like if you're not quite as loud and present, you can definitely do this. And I think this is where it could be fun to do a little bit of like practical advice for everybody out there. Cause there's definitely people that are like, I'm not a video person. Well, guess what? The future is here. And I think there's a difference between just like using video and really like leaning into and leveraging it. So what are a couple of like your best tips on how to maybe reframe that?
For sure. So first thing is to know is that you don't have to have a big personality to have success on video. You think that you do because you see some big personalities. But I want you to think about whose videos are you watching that do not have this big personality? How often are you consuming their content? Every single day, right? And me as a big personality, I don't watch big personalities. It's too much for me, right? Everybody that I learn from are calm, right? And
Yeah.
so it's really important to understand that there is somebody that's looking to consume whatever it is you have out there once you kind of put it on there, right? The second thing to know is that I think we all criticize ourselves. We all feel like if I show up on video, I'm going to look cringy or I'm going to look stupid. And the truth is, you probably will. I do too. You know what I mean? Like my teeth were crooked. I was overweight and I was like, well, I'm going to be judged. And so I said, girl, go make you some money and get you some braces. So I did. I made money online and I got braces, right? And now I've lost weight, right? But it was like I felt all these negative things about how I was going to look, and people from high school were going to talk about me and this and this. And I just kept saying, none of these people are going to pay my bills, right? Two people care about my bills, me and the people that I owe. And so I have to acknowledge the fact that if I choose to do something that is scary, where I can look quote unquote stupid, it could literally change my life. So the person who says to themselves, okay, getting on video is very new. That is normal. Okay. It's not normal to have a phone and then film yourself. And that's not normal. We didn't grow up with a phone in our faces, film it, post it on this place where people can comment.
Yep.
So it is normal to have those feelings that you have about posting, but it's more important to say to yourself, okay, the people who know me right now, and I'm making whatever money or doing whatever I'm doing. But what if I did something consistently that is uncomfortable and then thousands or maybe millions of people knew about me and knew about my message? How much could that elevate your life, your business, your brand, your message, and all that? But it takes you just saying to yourself, I've got something to say, and whether everybody's going to like it or not, I've got something to say. You know, I tell people all the time about this old man. His name is Old Man Steve, and they call it it's Old Man Steve stuff on TikTok. This man has 1.5 million followers. He's 85 years old. Right? He did some videos of him in the hospital after surgery, and he makes his oatmeal, he makes his bed, and he's like, I've got a message. I am me and I want to show up. And the world has said yes to Old Man Steve. I guarantee you have more to say than Old Man Steve with his bananas and his oatmeal.
Also proof you're never too old to learn something new.
Making a lot of money.
And I feel like there's like a higher level here. Like we got to go meta for a minute. We're going to come back down, because I think that you will agree with me. And I say, I believe all of us have a purpose here on this earth. I believe most people don't identify it, find it, or aren't willing to live it out. And in that purpose is impact to other people. And so by not putting yourself out there, you are robbing other people of the message they need to hear. And even if that is one person, even if there's one person who's changed because of that purpose and your willingness to put it out there, I think that's a life well lived.
Yeah.
And so it's almost not your information to keep. And so in getting out there and whatever content medium you want to talk about, right? If it's video, if it's writing, whatever it is, you almost have an obligation or a responsibility to put the message out there in the world. And the only way you're going to build confidence to do that is to act upon it and just take one step, even if you hate your teeth and don't like your weight.
Yeah. I'll give you a prime example, two examples, like Dr. Mary Claire Haver, the gynecologist. It would have been easy for her to not tell us that she was gaslighting her patients, but she told us and she started educating us. It completely changed her life. Halle Berry started going through menopause, but she didn't know what she was going through. She just knew she had some situations going on down there and thought that her boyfriend was giving her some type of transferable situation. And her doctor was like, ma'am, this is menopause. And as a result of Halle Berry telling the world about a situation down there, and Dr. Mary Claire Haver telling women X, Y, and Z, just last week, I think the government, whomever, has finally said, hormone replacement therapy is good for women, for women's health. So women have been suffering for decades after decades because nobody was making changes, but because Halle Berry put her embarrassing message out there, Dr. Mary Claire Haber starts telling everybody all this stuff. It has just changed the lives of millions of women today and all of our kids and kids' kids and kids' kids. And it's going to save a lot of marriages because people don't really know what's happening with them during menopause. And now they get the help, and the husbands get to get the help too.
I know. I think this brings up, okay, this was something I wanted to ask you, and that's a perfect cue up to it. And there's really this, let's say the tension between being visible and being vulnerable. Because in some cases, you can make your mess your message, but how much of the mess do you share? And at what point is it like I'm being vulnerable enough for people to get it and understand where I'm coming from and my perspective and my experience in order to be visible around it and get the message out there versus like, airing all the dirty laundry? How do you navigate that?
Yeah. So before I ever start sharing things, I say to myself, what am I willing to share and what am I not willing to share? Right. For example, I went through divorce and my ex-husband was unfaithful, but I will never share his name. I will never share his face. Right. I will never say all of these different things that happen. Right. I've had a lot of crazy things happen in my life in my childhood. And I'm like, I say certain things have happened, but I don't give any details. I never show my sisters and moms and faces. I just don't do those things. Right. I do have opinions, like Christian opinions, political opinions. And I say to myself, okay, first of all, like my purpose is to bring people together. Is what I'm going to say going to depart people, or is it going to bring them together? And every time I have those things about what I'm going to share, I'm like, if this is not going to help with X, Y, and Z, it's not happening. Right. But also I do share with people that I went through divorce. But when I share that I went through divorce, I say this happened and I decided therapy, Jesus, and building a business. So I don't just stay there in this like, woe is me thing. And so I'm telling people, hey, this happened to you and you get the decision to heal, grow, and whatever. I lost this amount of money in my business, but I learned this lesson and turned it around. So I choose how far I go, but I don't go too far. I go far enough to be relatable, but also far enough to where my people can relate to me and not say, she doesn't understand me.
Oh, I love that there's two things there. One, it is you can be authentic and appropriately vulnerable without going to the very bottom of the message. I think that's huge because I think that there's this sense of like, if you're not airing all of the dirty laundry, you're not actually authentic. Right. No, there's a difference between authenticity and oversharing. Huge difference. Yeah. But I really like this idea of if I'm going to share a vulnerability or a negative moment that did frame where I come from now, I'm going to make sure I resolve it within the same breath. Right. And so we're not just leaving it with, we bought a company and went bankrupt. Right. Yeah. That's my divorce in a way. Luckily it did not lead to divorce. Somehow we made it through it, but there's a resolution to, what came out of that. And the idea that we wouldn't be where we are now without those moments, but encouraging people to look at that is important in that models that behavior and that thinking.
Yeah, I agree. Like it reminds me of who was I thinking about? I was thinking about, as some of y'all gonna be like, what? It reminds me of like Kim Kardashian. So Kim Kardashian is a famous business owner, influencer, and all the things. And she also was married to, we all know, Kanye West, right? And Kim Kardashian and her team, they have built these businesses and brands. And Kim made a decision years ago that like, no matter what her ex is doing, she's never gonna stoop low. She's never going to stoop a certain place because that's just not what she's going to do. It's not her brand and it's not who she is as a person, right? So let's just say you've gone through where someone stole from you. You can talk about something being stolen from you right? You can talk about being let go from a company right? You just get an opportunity to assess what that looks like, but you have to identify that first before you start creating online for that. You have to set a foundational plan for, I talk about, and we call them content pillars. We talk about this, and this. We never talk about this. We only talk about this over here. Then when you choose those content pillars, you're like, okay, and what does it look like to talk about those content pillars? So like when my social media manager came on board, she said, can we talk about your divorce? I said, yes, but right? You can talk about this, and this, not that. Can we talk about politics? No. If something crazy political happens, we may make a statement that says, that draws people together. It doesn't separate. And she's like, got it. You know, like, can we talk about Halloween? No, we can talk about the fact that I love gummy candy. We can't celebrate Halloween. Right. And so people go, oh, okay. So she's funny with the gummy candy, but she doesn't say happy Halloween, you know?
You know, something occurs to me that, again, we go meta and come back down, is that Keenya, I want everybody to realize this. Keenya knows her values, and everything she does is aligned to those values on purpose and within alignment to them. Huge fan of content pillars out there. That's a practical piece of advice that I would say anybody out there who's a knowledge-based professional should be listening to, because I'm a big fan of threes. And so I usually encourage people to have their three
that's good
content pillars, because it helps you not only present in an aligned way, but from a marketing perspective, but in this case, it helps you know how far your talks about goes and what is not included in them.
Right. Exactly. I agree. Because I know for me personally, when I first started out on social media, I talked about all types of things. Right. And it made me, I was all over the place and people didn't know what was going on. Right. And then when I started to coach my clients, they were all saying the same things. I don't really know what to talk about. And so when I really started learning about content pillars, my content got better. And then I was able to help thousands of people get more focused and organized. And they all grew so much faster than me because I was able to steer them in the right direction of this, and this, and don't talk about that. And now they're crushing it and having the greatest time because they know exactly what content create. When they hire a social media team, they know what to create so they can have more time freedom and that person has a job.
Well, and I think it's so interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs, one, God forbid I have a niche because I won't have enough, there won't be enough fish in the sea. This is a little bit the same, right? It's like, if I don't talk about everything I know, then nobody's going to gravitate towards the one thing I know the most about. And I think that's a huge waste of time in content creation, is like, because it dilutes, right? And so there's this idea of really like distilling down and remaining focused, and you're going to draw the right people in when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a benefit to having a niche right? So it's like the Keenya Kelly brand, like typically people say, oh, Keenya is the TikTok queen. That works. It had worked for 5 years, right? Because nobody knew TikTok. So everybody ran to me as the go-to person, right? But over the years, I started going like, this actually has me in this TikTok box. I need to be in the video marketing space, and I can speak on all stages about TikTok marketing. So I niched down initially and got myself into the stages with the audience. And then we went, okay, now let's bring me back out more to the video queen. So now I can talk on stage about video marketing or Instagram or AI and video marketing, right? So I did that for a period of time for everybody to say, this is my go-to. And I was on every podcast, every stage, everything, because I had something, but I knew where I was going with it and I wasn't going to stay right there.
Yeah. And I think when you're starting out and you're newer, you really do need like a little bit more of that consolidated almost nucleus so that you're not diluting your message across a smaller pool of visibility that you have. But as you get larger and you have a diversified audience, you can afford to like start stretching it out. I completely agree. Also, I love when somebody who maybe has more experience or knowledge than me comes and validates the stuff I say to people, because I'm like, you need the middle ring of the bullseye, start there, and then you can add rings as you get bigger. And I just got it validated by Miss Keenya Kelly. I have on that note, I have a very important question. How devastated were you that My So-Called Life only ran for 1 season?
Girl, first of all, can you see the series back there? Oh my God. The worst. I was like, what do you mean? Jared Leto, Claire Danes, like what? So now when you see Claire and you see Jared, it's like, somebody bring them back. We do a reboot.
The other night, an ad for what's her current show? Diplomat? Is that what she's on right now?
I've been seeing clips of it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but an ad for it came on, and Jim's like, she looks familiar. Who is that? And I was like, I just died a little inside, because you also have to remember my name is Angie. My real name's Angela, and I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So in my world, Jared Leto was walking into McGuffey High School, class of 99 at any given moment.
Girl, that red card, girl, like
the travesty of the youngest Gen Xers on the planet generation is that Jordan Catalano only existed.
I call her red right now in my head. I call her red.
Oh, so good. I feel like we could have a whole show on pop culture and it'd be really, really fun.
Yeah, girl, for real.
Speaking of amazing content, as we wind things down, what is your number one piece of advice to everybody out there on creating authentic content that stands out in the sea of sameness? Number one tip.
So number one tip would be, well, first of all, ask yourself, I would probably use AI if I were you. I would probably go to Claude AI and I would say, tell Claude all about you. If you have Gmail, connect your Gmail and all that, and just talk to Claude about your values. Like, this is what I love this and I love that. And just tell it everything about you. And then if you're thinking about starting whatever type of brand, then also tell it the brand you want to start, who you want to help, and all that. And then ask Claude, now, Claude, can you analyze this? And can you tell me, can you really help me understand who I am and what I believe? And then you can also ask it for like, who do you think would be interested in hearing about this? And do you think that people would be interested? Because I feel like what a lot of people are dealing with is they need the validation, as we all do, that you have something to share. People want to hear it and see it. And I think that it's a safe way to go to AI and talk to AI because it's not a human being. And you can read who you are in this synthesized, analyzed way. And then you can also ask it, well, who out there is doing things like me? And then you can go and look at those people. And what you're going to find is you're going to be like, I am amazing. And I didn't realize how amazing that I am. And people are interested in what I have because we are our own worst critic. We think that we will be terrible on video, or we got to do this, we got to do that. And we all need something to first just give us that first little glimmer of hope. And it's not a person. It's going to be you putting yourself out and then letting AI talk back to you. And you will be shocked when you see yourself. I'll give you an example. When I start with a new client who is like, has no brand and they've built something in the background, I go, let's just get on Zoom. I'm going to have my AI here. Let's just talk. And we just talk and ask questions, and AI is grabbing all of that. And I say, okay, let me get back to you in a couple of days. I then download the transcript and I give it to AI and say, AI, can you write down exactly what this person said, like transcript? Now, can you also analyze and bullet point who they are and what they want to talk about? Then I download that and I say, here, I gave this to AI. This is what AI said. Tell me what's true and not true. They always come back crying, because they're like, you get me. And I'm like, no, it's not me. AI got it. And they could see themselves. So then I can strategize with them.
I love it. So I have to point out, it might seem ironic that two people who love authentic content creation and showing up as your genuine self both agree. Start with AI. Yeah. We have been given an amazing enablement tool. It cannot replace us. However, it is a great thought partner and data synthesizer. And all that diarrhea of the mouth that you're going to dump out in a transcript or dump out while typing is data that it can parse and place in a bigger picture, because we're too close to the forest to see the trees of our own special sauce. Yeah. And so I am a huge, huge fan. And it will sycophanticize you and tell you how wonderful you are. And I'll sometimes we need those cheerleader moments. Yeah. But it will also spit out some really great one-liners that you're like, oh, I guess that is how I am, right? Yeah. Because it's a little bit of it's kind of a mirror is a really good way to think about it. It's a mirror that also has a glimpse into the greater world of where you might fit. And so I think that is a fun, you have permission to go play with your favorite generative AI, just talk at it for a while and see what it comes up with and see what it helps synthesize for you.
I'll tell you what happened to me. So I had a coaching call with Emma Rainville, and I was in her house and I was like, I'm just going to record all this and get the AI transcript. And so she did all the things. I got the transcript for it and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, okay, Chat, what is Emma saying? And then Chat was like, and got it into my language and it broke down. Emma says, you're not showing up. This, and this, you're doing this, but you're actually this. And I said, okay. I said, well, here's this person who's showing up big. What are they doing that I'm not doing? And then it roasted me in a good way. And it said, you are this, and this, but you keep telling everybody you're the TikTok queen. You're so much more than a TikTok queen. You are Your messaging should be this, and this. I read that and was like, you're right. And me and my whole team have been changing everything.
AI, but you're right.
You're right. And it just helped me so much to see me better and higher where I really am versus where I think I am.
Love it. Permission to use the tools that we have been given. Yeah. I love it. Keenya Kelly, how do people find out more about you and all the amazing wisdom you have to give those of us who are trying to put our knowledge out into the world?
Yeah, for sure. So you guys, I'm obviously on all socials. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Well, not really Twitter, but Threads under my name, Keenya Kelly, Keenya, Kelly. Also my website, KenyaKelly.com. And if you want to work with me or anything, everything is there on social or on my website.
Love it. And we will, of course, link all of that stuff here in the comments if you're watching on LinkedIn. And if you are out there in podcast land, will be in the show notes. And if any of you out there are trying to build a brand, whether it's attached to a business or your personal, but remain human, follow her, because Keenya is a real deal. And whether you are a content pro or like just dipping a toe into the good old world of Reels and TikTok, these strategies will work because they're really rooted in building trust, speaking your truth, and being creative within whatever your authentic genius is.
Mhm.
And so I am so glad you were here. This was so fun.
Thank
I want to
you.
do this like 10 more times. And I hope you will all follow Keenya and listen to her wisdom because it's fantastic. And I appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
That's it for this episode. Don't forget, all of you out there, to share it, drop us a review, and get in on the book list, scarygoodread.com/waitlist, to be the first to grab a copy when it hits shelves in January. In the meantime, I will see you next week for another